Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another special episode of the StarCast brought to you by WAC Essentials. If you want some of the coolest Manchester United t shirts and some other really cool t shirts and trendy things, check the link in the description. Use the code United Star and get a 10% discount on all your purchases. You can see the t shirts on your screen right now. They're really nice, really comfortable. So check them out and get a 10% discount using the code United Star. WAC Essentials, the link's in the description. For today's episode of the StarCast, we've got Valentina from all the way from Slovenia. So do check out MUSC Slovenia and Tina United. The links are in the description for that as well. So let's get straight into it, Valentina. First things first. Did this title challenge get more realistic with Liverpool losing to Burnley, or did it get more harder with Man City doing so well over the last two games?
Well, I think the City are the hardest one to beat at the moment, but I think that with Leicester and City having some injuries, I think the Kevin De Bruyne is out for 4 to 6 weeks and Vardy for 4 weeks. So we have to use that to our advantage, and I think the next 4 or 5 games will be crucial to our season. And I think that we can get there if we play like this, but of course, there are possible injuries, so it's very important that Solskjaer rotates the team like he did today, and we saw that we did really well, even
Hmm.
without Bruno, and we rested some other players.
Right, right. So it's been an interesting season for United fans, and obviously, a lot of people have been saying, including myself, we've said that we're not really in a title challenge. But with Liverpool dropping off the way they haven't won a game in their last five Premier League games. They've got only three goals. With the way they've dropped off, is this realistically a title challenge now between United, Leicester, and Man City? Do you think, or are Liverpool yet in the
Yeah,
mix?
because if I don't think that Liverpool are in the mix at the moment, and I think that even some pundits said that they are in the title for top four, and I don't see them picking up their form in the next month. So I think they're really in a bad place, and it's hard to get from there, and it's hard to get motivated. Even if you remember a year ago, when we conceded the first goal, our heads went down, and I think this is happening to Liverpool now.
Mm-hmm. That's a very valid point actually, because Liverpool is a very exciting team, and they have been for over 2 years now. And you can clearly see there's a lack of cohesion going forward. They're not able to score goals. Well, they did get two against United in the FA Cup, but that doesn't really count for much since they eventually lost the game. So somehow the system is not clicking. But a team whose system is clicking at the moment is Man City. They aren't conceding goals. They're winning 1-0, 2-0. And I feel Pep has found the system to play without a real striker and involve De Bruyne and Sterling more. Now, I know De Bruyne is injured, but how much of a threat do you think Man City are going to pose Manchester United?
I think Man City is always a threat to any team, and we can only hope that they drop some points. We also have to play them again, and that game will be very important. So we will have to make sure we are really ready for it, because we will have to be 110% for that match.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. So before these set of fixtures, Valentina, I had said that from the Fulham game to the Burnley game to the Liverpool game, that was about 9 points. I had said if we get about 8 points, about 7 points, we'd be in a realistic title challenge. Now we've got 7 out of 9 points, and we are in a title challenge in my view. But I'm just going to read out the next four fixtures to you, and I want you to tell me how many points do you think we need to take of these games. We take on Sheffield at home, Arsenal away, Southampton at home, and Everton at home. These are four games, which is 12 points. Do you think we can get 12 out of 12 points in these four games?
I think that's very possible, but we know that Arsenal wasn't really our best game the last time. And if we manage to win them, then I believe we will get all 12 points. Because
Right.
I think we are really in a good form. We are playing as a team. We defend, we attack all together. And at the moment, everything is clicking, I think.
Hmm. Fair point. Fair point. But what do you think about some of the other teams like Southampton? Because this running into these set of fixtures is not necessarily the easiest. Yes, Arsenal is a good team. We know that they've put in a good string of performances, but Southampton and Everton as well. I mean, Ancelotti's Everton do play some good football. Southampton are a difficult team to beat. We had to come back 3-2 to beat them last time we faced them away from home. So, how do you see us approaching those games? And do you think those will be easy, or are you expecting a challenge?
No, that those will definitely be a challenge because we will have to put in the work for whole 90 minutes. They can score in the last minute. It happened before, so I think we will have to concentrate from beginning to the end and don't let any pass or something else slip. So yeah.
Mhm. Now, Valentina, would I be fair in saying that Manchester United's best player in the last month has been Paul Pogba?
Definitely, yes, he was, because
So,
I think from Mino Riola's comments on, even Paul Pogba came out and said that as long as he is at Manchester United, he will fight for his teammates and he will fight for the club. And I think that's what everybody actually wanted from him. Even if even if he says, "Okay, I want to go, but as long as I'm here, I will fight for you." And this is a decision I respect. Even if he leaves in the summer, I respect him for that as long as he fights for the team. And he's been working in defense, he's been working in attack. I think Roy Keane said, if you want to be a good player, you have to run back a year ago about Paul Pogba, and now he's doing that. So I think he has becoming a more complete player, and I think something in his mentality changed from since Bruno arrived. He's really working for the team, and I think those two really clicked good together.
mhm. So you mentioned Bruno Fernandes. Obviously, he scored that beautiful free kick against Liverpool. And to be honest, he's yet sort of our most important player. Even though Pogba is doing really well in the important moments, you tend to look for where Bruno Fernandes is. So at this point in time, would you say that Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba are possibly the best midfield partnership in the Premier League?
Definitely. If we see Bruno has I don't know, not a bad game, but not as good as usually, then Pogba delivers. If Pogba doesn't have the best game, then Bruno delivers. So they complement each other, and they know if someone doesn't do very well, the other one will take the burden for that game.
Hmm. So, it's an interesting thing that you said after Bruno came in, Pogba really lifted his game. But that's not just with Pogba, right? After Telles has come in, Shaw has lifted his game. After Henderson has come in, I feel De Gea has lifted his game. So, how good do you think a squad really is? Because now that we've beaten Liverpool, we're in the next round of the FA Cup. How good do you think a squad really is to challenge for both the league and the FA Cup?
I think it's much better than the last year because now we have competition for places. I think we still have to give some competition to Wan-Bissaka, and because he's playing a lot of matches and also there he can become tired. But I think today he had a very good game. We also see in the midfield today Bruno didn't start, but Donny I think did his job really well. Maybe it's really like we said, Sancho's or someone in the right wing in attack. But with those players, I think we are becoming a more complete squad where everybody fights for their place and are motivated to improve.
Absolutely. So, do you realistically think we can win the FA Cup, or would you rather want to win the Europa League?
Well, if I had to choose, I would probably choose the Europa League, but I think we can win the FA Cup because if we approach every game like we did today, we were lively, we were energetic, we fought for the ball, we created chances, and it was clear to see that even after we conceded the goal, it was like we are angry and our heads didn't fall down. And that's what we love to see about this team. They never give up and they always believe that they can score a goal.
Hmm. So my contention with this is actually that the FA Cup is actually easier to win than the Europa League, because for the Europa League you're actually going to have to travel. You don't know where in Europe, so maybe closer to your home, but that is not particularly good for Manchester United's team because the flights and playing on Thursday and then playing again on Saturday or Sunday really takes a lot out of the team. And I think Sociedad will be a difficult opponent. And just the history of the FA Cup, I feel like that is a competition I want to personally win more than the Europa League because I think it's easier and I do not like the idea of traveling to somewhere far away in Europe and probably getting our players injured and then coming back all the way and then having a bad performance in the Premier League as well, right? So these things, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's true. We know how hard the Everton game was after we came back from Turkey. Uh, and yeah, I think we can win the FA Cup. I know the City has won it the last, I don't know, 3 years. Arsenal was the last one.
Yeah,
But I think that it is possible because also other teams have to rotate, and uh, I don't know why not. We will
hmm,
see how the season goes. I hope we don't get any injuries. So I think at the moment anything is possible, but we will see what happens in maybe 2 months' time or 3 months' time.
absolutely. I think that's a very valid point. With the way things are going, you don't know if we're gonna have a truncated season, possibly some change in fixtures like Fulham, Spurs, Aston Villa, Everton. All of these have had fixtures changed overnight, so you never know what can happen. And I think touchwood, Manchester United have been lucky that they haven't been affected by any of these sort of changes in fixtures. So just the news has just come in that we'll be playing West Ham United in our fifth round. So it's another difficult tie, so to speak. So what do you make of our chances in that game?
West Ham are really hard to break, but I think if we work tirelessly and we try again, I think we could win that game. But we just mustn't stop. We have to attack, and but also be very careful because they will try to counterattack, not to concede easy goals.
Yeah, fair enough. I think a lot of credit goes to David Moyes here. I mean, I know as United fans we
Hmm.
don't particularly like him, but I think he's done a great job with this West Ham team, and he's actually made a profit this year in transfers. And everyone thought West Ham are going to be relegation contenders, and somehow that hasn't happened. Somehow they are fighting even for top four, maybe you could say. I mean, realistically they might not get there, but at this point they're right there. So let's move this a little bit on to some of our other players. How good has Harry Maguire been since sort of that Spurs game and the sort of Greece debacle that he had?
I think he's been very consistent. He's been playing every match we had. I know that even in the last season he was playing with a hip injury for a month just because the team needed him, and I think that shows the real captain material. And I think he was one of the pillars of our defense this season, and he will only get better. It will be hard if he gets injured.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. I think that old saying that your appreciation should be as loud as your disrespect was, I think that goes for Harry Maguire. I think a lot of Manchester
Yeah,
United fans,
definitely.
yeah, a lot of fans have absolutely laid into him for not being good or not doing sort of things that we expect out of a Manchester United captain. But let's face it, every Manchester United captain does not need to go out there and shout like Roy Keane did. Roy Keane was a raving lunatic. No one liked Roy Keane, let's face that. But
Mhm.
he's a great player and all that, but well, nobody liked Roy Keane. But I think Harry Maguire has stepped up and I think he's been very, very good for us. And I think he deserves a lot of credit. And another player, I think Luke Shaw has stepped up as well in defense. And Fred has sort of been our underappreciated midfield maestro. So I think this has been a great sort of combination. And I think what's great to see is the passion. I think more than the performance, I think the passion is there.
Definitely. When we score a goal, you can see that everybody is celebrating. I think that for the first time in a long time, it feels like they are one big family because they are like brothers. They sacrifice for each other on the pitch. They help each other, and even we saw one game that after Bruno scored, he didn't even celebrate. He just ran to Dan James to explain what he has to do in the next attack. So I think this is the improvement we've been looking for. Even Fred said 2 years ago that there are too many egos in the dressing room, but now there are no egos. They are all working for each other and want to help each other. So I think this is the real team spirit we wanted before.
Yeah.
And a lot of credit for that goes to Solskjaer because he created a lot of that and he brought in the right players.
Absolutely. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think Solskjaer's man management has been something fantastic. But moving on, I just want to speak about a couple of other coaches here. I think Pep Guardiola. I think we all keep saying that basically he needs money to make his teams. We all keep saying that, but has he actually been able to adapt Manchester City to a system where he actually doesn't even need a striker, and where Ilkay Gundogan and Phil Foden are getting most of their goals? So, how would you say that transformation has come about?
Well, they don't say for nothing that Pep Guardiola is a tactical genius. So I think he always has a way to work with what he has, because Aguero now has COVID, and Sterling and Jesus, they weren't in a great form in for the past months. So I think he found a new way to work with those who are in good form, and I think we can see the results on the pitch now.
Absolutely, and I think that's a sort of that's the highest testament. I mean, you can pay him that he is one of the best. Sort of, as much as I hate Pep Guardiola, I mean, I don't think I can ever like Pep Guardiola after that final. So
Mhm.
I think it's that 2009 Champions League final. I don't think after that I can ever like Pep Guardiola as a manager. But I think he's definitely one of the greatest ones to have managed in club football. He's won everything there is to, and he does deserve respect. And I think you'd be stupid to not give him that respect. Uh,
Definitely, yeah.
but what's interesting is Liverpool's next game is against another great manager, another man whom Man United fans do not like particularly, Jose Mourinho. How do you see that game playing out, and what role does it play in a title challenge for Manchester United?
I think for it would be great if that game ended with a tie. But I think Jose will park the bus and try to counterattack with Son and Harry Kane. So we'll see how that plays out. But if they park the bus, we know that Liverpool aren't in a good attacking form, so they could probably even win that. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Uh, I think if Liverpool park the bus, Klopp is definitely going to come out and say, sorry, if Spurs park the bus, Klopp is definitely going to come out and say that this is not football. So we
Like
can.
he did last week, he said that the club with players like Cavani, Martial, and Rashford shouldn't defend. Well, we didn't defend today.
But this is what I want to ask you, Valentina. Do you think it is fair on a manager like Jurgen Klopp to come out and say that if you play defensive, pragmatic football, it is not football? Do you think it makes any sense? Because to me, I fail to understand it. There is not just one way to play football. You could play attacking football or defensive football, and each manager has their style, and that's what makes the Premier League beautiful. That's what makes football beautiful. You don't want to see every game ending 5-4. I, for one, appreciate a good hard tackle as well.
Well, if we are objective, football is not about the style of play. Football is about result. And if you want to win, you will have to use what you have. And he said the same about Atletico Madrid last season, that they only defended. Well, it got them the result. It got them what they wanted and what they needed. So you can't criticize someone if they beat you or got a result against you with some different style of play to yours, because that means that they studied you and they knew what they had to do to get a result against you. So you should respect them for that, and not criticize them for not playing the way you want them to play.
Absolutely. And you know what's funny? What I find funny here is Liverpool fans keep talking about how Liverpool have always played attacking football and it's in their DNA. But I mean, they forget that Graham Souness is one of the greatest, is probably their greatest foot player. And his entire tactic was to lump the ball from the opponent's penalty box to their own goalkeeper, because back then back passes were allowed and the keeper would catch it and waste time. So this is the kind of attacking football Liverpool used to play. In fact, Manchester United is probably one of the only clubs in the world, along with Barcelona and Real Madrid, who have consistently tried to play an attacking brand of football. Arsenal had a famous song, 1-0 to the Arsenal, when George Graham was manager. So it's incredible that these fans come and turn to Manchester United and say that, oh, y'all don't play attacking football and it's our DNA to play attacking football. I think I find that quite hypocritical, and it's hilarious actually to hear that. But just moving on to a couple of other points. Kevin De Bruyne is now out. You've already alluded to that. Can Pep Guardiola actually adapt to Kevin De Bruyne being out? Because whatever you say, that man is probably yet the best player in the league.
Well, he probably can for some matches, but I think in some games it will be evident that Kevin De Bruyne is missing. But if teams will park the bus, I think it will be hard to break them without Kevin De Bruyne. But we will see. Maybe some individual brilliance or some actions will take part, but I think he will be missed in City games.
Absolutely. So let me put you on the spot, sort of. Kevin De Bruyne or Bruno Fernandes?
Well,
Who is the better
statistics
player?
says Bruno, and I just think I look the whole person, not just the player. Bruno lifted the whole team. Kevin didn't have to do that, and for that, I think it's much more on Bruno. And even if you look statistics for this season, how many assists, how many goals, and he's a midfielder, and I think that's brilliant. And at the moment, I think any team in the world would take him in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's just a fact, you know. You can come out and say all you want that Bruno only scores penalties. Bruno doesn't show up against big teams. He's a stats padder. His goals are all rubbish. You can come out and say all you want, but Bruno Fernandes has got this team from where they were, from eighth place to third place, and now on top of the league. He's won Player of the Month 4 times in the last year, and he's on course to. I mean, he's got 11 goals. He's got 7 assists. I mean, there's no argument. Nobody in their right mind can look at Bruno Fernandes and say that this guy is not a world class player. So, I mean, I think that argument has obviously been rubbished. But I, for one, personally think that I think Kevin De Bruyne has a little more to his game than Bruno Fernandes. I feel Bruno is a very direct player. He's very quick in making decisions. But I feel De Bruyne can actually dictate the pace of the game a little more than Bruno can. And this is probably because Bruno hasn't played in the Premier League enough. I mean, he can grow into that player. He's got all the ability and credentials to do that. So I definitely think he can do that. And obviously, whom I like more is Bruno Fernandes, but it's sort of the Messi Ronaldo debate that I like. I mean, Ronaldo more, but I can't
Yeah.
deny that Messi is better. So, that's about De Bruyne and Bruno. But I think there's another player who's sort of not doing that well this season, who's one of these great players, is Sadio Mane. I think he's having a very underpass season. He's not performing up to level. So what do you put that
Mhm.
down to? Is it just fatigue, or is he genuinely tired of Mo Salah not passing the ball?
I think it's fatigue because Liverpool, for the last 3 years, they were always on high speed. They were always running, and I think it's normal for every player to uh, fall out of form at some point. Even I think I was listening to an interview from Robin van Persie. He said there were like 10, 12 games I just couldn't score, and we know Robin van Persie was one of the best strikers there ever was. And I think this can happen. And when you don't score for a long time, it gets even worse. It's like with Martial this season. If he would score 3-4 goals in the 2 or 3 games, I think the teams would get better for him. But even if he scores one, there come 2 or 3 games when he doesn't. But he's really close, and I think that really impacts his self-confidence. And I think it's probably the same with Sadio Mane this season.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head. That I think, yeah, Mane. I think again he's a world class player, and any team would want a Sadio Mane in their team. But moving on from Sadio Mane to another two pair of world class players. I mean, this is also sort of halfway through the season, so we can sort of reflect at how players have done, how teams have done, and that's what we're exactly trying to do. In Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, these two are setting the Premier League on fire. I mean, Spurs might not be performing that well, but to watch Harry Kane and Son as a football fan is absolutely brilliant, because Harry Kane, in my view, is the best striker in the world. I've been saying this for 2 years now, and people laugh at me saying Lewandowski is better. Well, Kane may score lesser goals, but he does way more off the ball than Lewandowski. So, what's your view on this? How good are Harry Kane and Heung-min Son? And sort of, do we have a player like Harry Kane? Do you think a striker like Harry Kane, or do we need to buy one?
Well, I think they're both excellent. That's why I have them both in my fantasy Premier League. Uh, but I think, yeah, every time you go watch the highlights of their matches, or Son assists to Harry Kane, or Harry Kane assists to Son, they really complement each other. And I think he's a very unique player, Harry. At the moment, I don't think we have a player like that. Cavani is a real number 9, but not like Harry. But I think that if we bought Haaland, then maybe we would get closer to that, because I think he's a similar player to Harry Kane.
Right. So, what do you think sets Harry Kane apart from the rest of the strikers in the league?
He's just very good in front of the goal with his back to the goal, and I think there are not many strikers in the Premier League at the moment who can do that. And he's very tall, he can score with his head, and very precise with his feet, and he's a very complete number 9, I think.
Absolutely. So, you already mentioned him, and that was what my next question was going to be. Uh, Edinson Cavani. How impressed have you been with Edinson Cavani? A lot of Manchester United fans were saying that he's not the player we need. Now, here is what I want to say, that Edinson Cavani, the player, I was never against. Edinson Cavani, the signing, what it meant, I was against, because Edinson Cavani clearly was a last minute thought by this board. Luckily, it's worked out, but it could have gone the Falcao route very quickly because he's an old player who's aging. But how good has Edinson Cavani been, according to you?
Well, at the first, I was very skeptic because I also thought that he was a panic buy, and we know that he has been playing for a while before he came, and he had to become match fit to play. But he proved me, and I think a lot of other fans, wrong. He's running his socks off every match. He's working in defense. He's creating spaces in opposition half, and I think he's been excellent. I think he didn't put a foot wrong since he came to Manchester United.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right, and I think I've been proven wrong as well. I was worried about him, but again, more than the player, I was more worried about what this signing meant, because this was like the board trying to hide their failure in the transfer market once again in my mind. But I think it's a good thing that it's paid off for Manchester United at any rate. So before we wrap this up, I just want to ask you a couple of questions here. So who, according to you, has been the best player in the league till now?
I think I have to say Bruno, because if it hadn't been for him, we know that every match he had or at least one assist or a goal, and not many other players can say that. So, and if the Player of the Month awards prove that.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think it's Bruno for me.
For me, it's going to be Harry Kane, because you said no other player can match it, but there's just one more player who can, which is Harry Kane. So I think Harry Kane has been phenomenal. Of course, I think Bruno has been great as well. And since we're top of the league and Spurs aren't, you
Yeah.
could make a case that Bruno has been better. But I think from a neutral perspective, I think I've enjoyed watching this transformation of Harry Kane, almost where he drops back and pops the ball around. I think it's great to watch. Personally, again,
I
I
think
just
the
have.
only worry with Harry Kane is that every season he got injured for at least a month or two. So Spurs without Harry Kane, that's a worry for them.
Absolutely. I think Spurs without Harry Kane would be not even half this side. I think Spurs without Harry Kane would be worse off than we would be without Bruno Fernandes, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
So I personally have to admit that I'm a huge Harry Kane fan, so there's some bias there as well. I think Harry Kane is a fantastic player, and just like Harry Maguire, I think he gets a lot of stick in the press from the opposition fans and from the media. I don't think so much from the media, but from the opposition fans. A lot of people ridicule him for not being as good as the press makes him out to be. Well, I think he's a fantastic player. Who, according to you, then, Valentina, has been the best manager up till now in the Premier League?
Um, for me, I love Solskjaer because of his management. If you remember 1 month ago when those mean comments about Pogba being finished with United came out, I think many other managers would just put him on the bench or would be fighting with him. But what Solskjaer did with Pogba, it's incredible that how good he became from that moment on. And that's also because I'm really biased. I love Solskjaer. I've loved him even before he became manager. But I would say even how he deals with the media. They wanted to spur a fight between him and Klopp, but he just didn't let them. He's always gracious, and I think that it's him for me. It's Solskjaer.
Right. I'm torn. Sort of. I think Solskjaer has been fantastic, but I'm sort of also torn between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and I think Dean Smith has done a great job with this Aston Villa team. I personally didn't think
Mhm.
that, I didn't personally think Aston Villa were that good. To be honest, I don't think their squad was that good. I think defensively they were not that good. But I think he's really picked that team up and they look a good side. I think David Moyes has been fantastic as well. But I do agree with you that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will never get the credit he deserves.
Mhm.
So I think we should go with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think he's been fantastic. So to round this off with two final players, who's
Also, because I think he got the more stick than any other manager in this league. If and we know that Lampard has many more losses than Ole, but Ole gets the stick for whatever he does. If he puts Bruno on and doesn't substitute him, if he doesn't substitute the players at the right moment, anything he does, I think people sometimes just wait for him to make a mistake. And he's been gracious with all of that. He put his head down and he worked with what he believed with, and now we can see the results. And thankfully for that.
Absolutely. I think you've hit the nail on the head. Absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I mean that's the truth that Oli does not get the credit he deserves when he does something right. But even when he's partially wrong, people are out with pitchforks to stab him. So definitely Oli Gunnar Solskjaer, yes. So which team then do you think has been sort of the most underperforming team or the worst team up till now after 19 games?
Well, the most underperforming, I would probably say Arsenal, because they're usually a top six team and they just haven't looked them like themselves this season. Maybe just on some big games, but overall, I think they should be doing much better this season.
So I have actually different view on this. I feel that the most underperforming team I'd say has been Chelsea. After spending that much money, I don't think you can. I don't think you can be that bad. They haven't beaten a team up till date. They haven't beaten a team above them in the Premier League. I think they have been particularly poor in front of goal. Their only strategy is to cross the ball and then hope that Timo Werner can score, and Timo Werner just will not score. I think they've been particularly poor. And I think the second team that has been very poor, in my view, has been Newcastle United. They signed Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, Jeff Hendrick, these attacking players, and they cannot buy a goal. I think Steve Bruce's time, as much as it pains me to say, because Steve Bruce, I
Mhm.
mean, people forget, is an absolute Manchester United and Premier League legend. And he sort of launched sort of Ferguson's career, you can almost say. But
Yeah.
but people forget that, and that's the risk you take when you go into management, I guess. That people will tend to forget who you were as a player. I think Ronald Koeman is another example of it. But I think it's quite sad the way Newcastle are going. And for Premier League football, it's quite sad because Newcastle is this great footballing city, even though I don't like Newcastle as much. But it's this great footballing city, and the stadium, St. James's Park, is one of the best atmospheres in the country when fans are in there. It's right in the middle of the city. And
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Ashley does not care, and Bruce is clearly not good enough. So I think they have underperformed as well. So final thoughts. Can we win the Premier League then? 19 games in, we are top of the table. Can we do it?
Why not? I think we have to believe we can do it. I think the players believe they can do it. There's a long way to go and a lot of games until May, but I think we can be positive about it. At least for now, now that we are top of the league, but we will see what happens. I think we should enjoy while it lasts and hope it lasts until May. So yeah.
So Valentina, before I let you go, one reason why we will win the Premier League and one reason why might we might not win it.
Why we will team spirit,
Mm-hmm.
and why not injuries? Hope
Mm-hmm.
not, but it can happen.
Fair enough. I think fair enough. So thanks Valentina for joining us. I think this was a great episode of the Starcast. Yes, brought to you
Thank
by
you.
Vac Essentials. Don't forget the t-shirts. The links are in the description below. They have some great Bruno Fernandes t-shirts, Alex Ferguson t-shirts. Go check them out. Get some for yourself. Do check out MUSC Slovenia and Tina United. The links of that are in the description as well. And thanks, Valentina, for joining us. We hope to have you soon. Thanks, guys, for watching. Subscribe to our channel and like the video. We will see you all soon with another video. Thanks a lot.
Bye.